Pronouns and how they can be annoying. Although a lot of people don't think this is annoying because they keep doing it. I keep seeing it, reading it, the way people are using these pronouns. I wasn't even I wasn't even really bothered by what I'm about to talk about until um, 2022. So several months ago. Before that, 2021, I don't think I really even was bothered. Yeah, I wasn't even aware of this, what I'm about to talk about, with the issue with pronouns and grammar. Because it was in 2022 that I read these books. So this is this one is Classics of Modern Fiction, edited by Irving Howe. This one is mostly it's mostly fiction, but there is an introduction. Well, there's something called To the Student. That's like an introduction for the whole book, but then there's an introduction before each story, each fiction story. So there's some nonfiction along with the fiction in this book. The nonfiction is what the problem. That's where the problem comes in with the pronouns, in my opinion. And then there's the Riverside Reader. It's got a couple names on here. Joseph F. Trimmer and Maxine Hairston. And in this, there's fiction, but I think there's nonfiction too. It's by so the names I mentioned previously, I think they are the ones who compiled these stories and yeah, I guess they're stories. So there's some arguments in here too. About various subjects. They have them categorized. Okay, categorized by theme. There's two table of contents. One is just contents. The other one is thematic table of contents. So there's a section called the land, another one called the city, the other. Which it looks like is about people of different ethnicities. And then there's a section for women. It's about women. There's one called the family, There's one called Heroes, Teaching and Learning, Leisure and the Arts, Science and Technology, Business and Ethics. Okay, so there's different stories, which, yeah, some are fiction, some are nonfiction. There's even there. Okay, so there's one by Martin Luther King Jr. in here. It's the "I Have a Dream." Yeah, but there's besides that, there's a preface and an introduction. So that's nonfiction. Yeah. And it looks like there's an there's also an introduction. So there's an introduction to the whole book. And yeah, that's the preface. And then there's an introduction for each section of the book. So there's narration and description. There's some nonfiction for that. So the nonfiction is what annoys me with the pronouns. And then there's writing arguments. It's a rhetoric with readings. This is by John D. Ramage and John C. Bean. Okay, so this is all nonfiction, I think. So this is all about arguments. Yeah. Okay, so there's different parts. Overview of argument, principles of argument, arguments in depth, 5 categories of claims, writing from sources, the argument as a formal research paper, and then there's appendixes, logical fallacies, the writing community, working in groups, and then there's an anthology of arguments. So it's interesting to read about strategies when you are debating with someone about a topic. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of got tired of it, and I was just wanted to get to the actual arguments at the end, because I thought it'd be more interesting. So there's different. Yeah. It was more interesting. Some of it was. Some of it I wasn't as interested in. It depends on the topic. So there's an argument. I think. Okay. So there's a category, a section titled "Social Policy Toward the Mentally Ill Homeless," and then there's a couple. There's a few different arguments. There's a few different people in here that have different opinions about that topic. So there's a few different categories in the back where people give arguments. Here's one about recycling. I was shocked that there was any opposition to recycling, but I suppose, it does make sense, because I still see a lot of people just throwing recyclable material in the garbage, which makes me very angry. So, yeah, there's some people who see that it's pointless their opinion is that it's pointless to recycle. There's a section on sexual harassment. So there's a lot of arguments in this book. Oh yeah, there's one about legalizing drugs. And okay, so I keep saying so. I'm annoying. I don't. It might be annoying for someone listening. I'm annoying myself. I don't want to keep saying so, but especially because I'm talking about something that annoys me. I don't want to be annoying myself. I try not to. Because I recently made a short video about when people say "I mean," and I still keep hearing it. I never even noticed it until when I was working, the last place I worked, there was this one person who every time they would talk to someone at they would talk to someone else at work, and every time they would respond to this other person, they would say, "I mean." So I didn't care about this until I kept hearing it over and over and over. They were talking right by me, and I kept hearing this one person. They kept saying, "I mean," every time they would react to someone. Every time, practically. So that's and that's similar to, and it's similar. There's a few variations on that idea of when someone says that, and I made that point in my short video, but which I've heard other people. I think it was a stand-up comic. Black, somebody black. It wasn't Jack Black. That's an actor. There was somebody who mentioned it before about how when someone says, "You know what I'm saying," which is kind of like, "You know what I mean." So some people, I don't know if it's like nervousness or they just lose their thought, or it's just lazy thinking when they explain something, or when they're having conversation with someone, when they want to make sure the other person is understanding what they are communicating to them. So they throw in, "You know what I'm saying," or "You know what I mean," which is really annoying when you hear it over and over. Something like typically something isn't really annoying, but it will be if you say it a lot. I have found. So the you know what I'm saying. Uh, when I was watching and listening to the commentary for Black Panther, the superhero movie. Uh, the director, I think it was. Uh, so there I go with the so again. Uh, the director in this commentary for Black Panther, have a listen to it. This guy, he says, "You know what I'm saying?" I think it was, "You know what I'm saying." I think it was that version of this, making sure that the other person is understanding what you're saying, but which is kind of silly in a commentary. You're not even talking with someone else one-on-one. You're talking to an audience of people listening to the commentary. But in this commentary, he kept saying, "You know what I'm saying?" I had to listen to "You know what I'm saying" for what was it, like 2 hours? Those superhero movies, like a lot of uh, movies, like adventure movies, epic kind of movies, are really really long. So there we go with the so again. This I had to listen to. You know what I'm saying? Many 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 times. It was very irritating. So there's a example of when you hear something maybe once or twice, it's not too bad. But then when you notice, when you become aware of the repetition of it, when you keep hearing the same thing, it does get annoying. Which is what I'll get to with the pronouns, grammar. But yeah, I didn't really notice it until I kept hearing it a lot, and then it was just too much. So that's why I want to make these videos about it.